everyone. Welcome back. I'm your host, Heather McGonigal, and I'm here with my co host, Barbara Schindler. Welcome, welcome. And today we're going to talk a little bit about performance reviews because this is generally the time of year that a lot of companies do performance reviews and strategic planning. They kind of go hand in hand as the year is wrapping up and a new year is getting ready to begin. So we hope this conversation will help all of you out there as you're considering getting ready for your performance review in your company.
Yeah, it is that time of year where it's like, whoa, a whole year has passed, and definitely is a good time of year. Some companies do it after the new year. Some people try to close the year with the conversations of how did it go, and really looking for ways to develop the conversation of performance review, which is, you know, giving positive feedback from all angles to where do we go in this next phase.
And for this conversation today, we're going to be talking primarily to you, the team member who's preparing to go into the performance review conversation. And we want you to be empowered in this conversation. So, to not be going into this conversation just thinking, well, I'm going to show up and see what they have to say to me. So, to not just be on the receiving end of the conversation, but actually to shift your perspective and to prepare yourself to show up more empowered for this performance review because this is a different way to come at this very important conversation so that you're empowered about your own career trajectory. And why is this a different way to come at this, Barbara?
Well, it kind of goes back to the history of top-down management that doesn't work anymore and hasn't worked for a really long time. But there definitely is a different need today for business leaders to consider the talent that they've invested in their company. And we're talking to you, the business leaders who are that talent, right? And to consider the investment, not only that the business is making in hiring talent, but also the people who give their career path, whether it's a short-term, long-term phase of their journey, to keep that in mind. So opportunities for growing within a company is not a new idea, right? And growing in a company doesn't mean you move from this role to this role to this role. It's pretty well understood in today's business world that that means how do I contribute more? How do I develop more business thinking? We talk within our coaching a lot about the homegrown business, the value of understanding the business, your role, the goals that you're going for, the industry that you work in. These are more well-rounded leadership uh, skills that are becoming more prevalent. And the other piece I said why it does matter that you asked is people are looking for a greater balance. Not closing out all of their life and themselves and their needs to do the job. That just doesn't work anymore, right? So it really is, when you're coming back to this, it's showing up with confidence to actually be prepared to inform from your perspective what you have contributed, where you see your strengths, and possibly where you see some opportunities to contribute more. Tell us more about that, Heather.
Yeah, I think the thing is, over the course of a given year inside of a company as a team member, you grow, evolve, and you learn and develop along the way inside of your organization. And as the industry expands, as the business world grows and expands ever more rapidly in answer to the evolution of technology, the evolution of the outside business environment, there are a lot of possibilities for how your role could expand and how you might want to grow in answer to that. So you in any given role could end up with maybe like 5 different ways that you might want to expand your own expertise. And you could have questions inside of yourself like, what is the company direction going to be? So that I could choose the right ways to expand my own knowledge and meet the growing needs of the organization, right? So I hope you could see it that there would be maybe a meeting of the minds in this performance evaluation conversation where you might want to know from management who's having the conversation with you, what is the vision, the strategic vision for the company and the direction we're seeing for this area of the business that I'm in, so that I know the best way to apply the development of my skills and the development of the other people on my team. Should we learn more about things in this direction or that direction or that direction over there? Like, how do you all see this evolving? Because I'm thinking in this way and that way and this other way. What are you seeing, right? The performance evaluation conversation is a great opportunity to get in alignment around some of these big picture things and get clarity so that you can decide and get aligned and go, great, okay, well, then I will further invest myself in getting stronger in these areas because that is the direction the company is going in. And then my career trajectory will align with the future of this company. And that is something that I want. And I can hear that alignment. And I want to invest myself further in this direction in this company, right? That would be maybe a really successful outcome of a performance evaluation meeting, a meeting of the minds and alignment, and then you leave that meeting with greater clarity and direction for your future and your career within the organization. That's just one possibility.
Yeah, and you make an important point there. There, I often in the coaching session, when I'm facilitating, I encourage seeing those two parallel paths. Sometimes, sometimes working with a business leader and they're like, oh yeah, I forgot I have a career path, don't I? Right? Because
Hmm.
fully engaged in your role can sort of forget about that, but it's an important parallel line that actually enforces better thinking of who am I and how am I evolving in my current role. And you made an important point, Heather. It's like, oh, I want to do this. And it's like has nothing to do with the direction the company's going is not going to work. Right.
Right.
So understanding that you tie that in, how could that be? And what came to mind as I was listening then was what you were sharing, Heather, was baby steps. It doesn't have to be, I'm going to climb a mountain. That's the change I'm making here. It could be a baby step, like simply, I've been noticing and experimenting with certain things I see as trends coming up through our client portal. And I'd like to take that further, right? And here's what I see as a potential benefit to the company to expand my responsibility in that way.
Yeah. And so you're in any way that this goes, you're empowered and you're using this meeting to get really good information for you to be empowered in your career. So instead of maybe the old way of showing up to a performance feedback, performance evaluation conversation where you're just showing up for the scheduled time and you're going to hear what they have to say about how they think you've been doing, right? No, we're giving you some coaching for how to show up and get some valuable information for yourself. We're going to be like, oh, that's interesting. Now I'm getting the shape of things for my future.
Yeah, and part of the wonderful conversation that comes up through performance evaluations when they're done well within a good structure is that both are listening. Supervisor and employee are listening to one another to catch that. Oh, we're catching, I see this differently, or I see my role differently, or you have this really good opportunity to share a perspective rather than waiting. Like, I hope they notice this. I hope they notice this. Say, hey, I'd like to share something I've been noticing, and bring that forward into this performance conversation. It will be recognized in a positive way because you're sharing, I'm thinking about this, I'm caring about my contribution, I'm caring about the results and how this might evolve differently. And it's kind of an opportunity in, I was going to say, in a safe place. And actually, many people don't think performance reviews as a safe conversation. We want to turn that around for you to see the opportunity it is to be innovative and have that, hey, this is what I'm thinking. What do you think? Because the business is looking for that. The leadership that is bringing your performance review to you is looking for that kind of input, that kind of collaborative thinking.
I think also the point that I want to be sure to make today is that in the age of AI, in the age of maybe the sort of misunderstanding and misthinking that human skill set is replaceable by whatever, which I think is in a lot of ways a lot of misunderstanding and misinformation, and is going to get course corrected a bit. I think it brings up for all of us humans the need to advocate for ourselves and our skill set and what we bring to the table. And I think it's always been the case that no one's coming to save you. You have to advocate for yourself. In a small entrepreneurial company, people have always been very busy doing as much as they can with not enough resources. They barely know what's going on their own plate, and they're keeping their head above water. They do not, even if they are delegating to you, and you might think, no, they know everything that's going on with me because they're the ones that put the stuff on my plate. They do not actually have a full handle on what it's like to be inside of your role. You have to advocate for you. And in the performance evaluation conversation, and in having a future that you want to have for your career, you're the one that needs to advocate for yourself. You're the one that needs to raise your hand and speak up and say, you know what, my team and I achieved this past year. Let me share with you some of our wins that I'm particularly proud of. And take some time and share those wins in your performance evaluation. Take some time and acknowledge your own growth. Take some time and share something you wish went differently and something you learned from it, so that they know that you're not perfect. Really own your experience. And then paint the picture of where you see you can go from here. And be your own advocate for your skill set. Because no one else is going to do it for you. And that's what I really want people to take away.
Yeah. And with that, I totally hear you. And I want to share one part of that is that in your own leadership of your role, you are called in your role to lead this. And truly, the more I was going to say the more confident supervisor is going to be like, thank you, because you are relieving that burden. I'm just playing the other side of this. Like, thank you for showing up. And yeah, that was, because they're trying to think of all those things. They're trying, like, take that as a partnership to what this conversation is really meant to be. And you will be received in that way. And this is how you lead culture, to take your part and be, it might feel a little risky. It might be out of the mindset you used to approach this, but it's the way that this evaluation time, it's about performance, it's about developing, it's about, hey, this is where we've been, and here's where we might go. It's usually, we want to wrap it up a little bit, but you want to also think this is a future focused conversation. This is a connecting conversation. This is a sharing perspectives conversation that will lead us to different thinking than either of us have had coming into the meeting, right? We want to shape something, and you have the opportunity to be empowered to make a difference in your own experience.
Yes. So I hope that you feel empowered and different about how you're going to go into your performance review conversation. And Barbara and I would love to support you on your journey. We'd also love to hear how it goes for you. So you can leave comments underneath this video. If you would like to get any support, you can reach out for a discovery call. There's a link below to schedule time on our calendars and get support. You can get one on one coaching for your unique scenario to have this different approach to performance coaching and start the new year in your company in a new way. Thank you for being here with us today for the conversation, and we hope you'll join us again next time. Thanks so much.
Take care.